Good morning, everybody. Today is Saturday, June 26th, and today is the day that the knockout rounds of the Euros start. So I'm here with Michael. Michael, what's up?
How's it going? It's going
It's
good.
going good. It's going good. Just like I told you before, I've been really caught up at the NBA basketball, which is crazy, but
It's been exciting.
it has been exciting, which has been weird because it's usually not exciting to me, but it's been good. Yeah, so we finally get into whoever made the knockout rounds. There were some surprises. Denmark getting 4 goals against. You know what? I'll just let you explain how people got here, why they're here, and everything like that. So if you could just go over a couple of the teams and kind of just pull up how they got to the knockout rounds, that'd be good.
Yeah, let's do it. So, the probably the final group stage is like one of my favorite days to watch the Euros because each
Yeah,
day it's their own group finishing it off. So you can kind of pick and choose which group you want to watch. Like I think pretty much everybody wanted to watch Group F play, which is like the group of death, and that was on the last day, and that was like those were two great games. They both ended
yeah,
2-2.
yeah. I remember that.
For about 60 minutes it looked like Hungary were gonna advance, and either Germany or Portugal were gonna get
Yeah.
eliminated, but then both kind of showed their class and made it. So that wasn't too much of a surprise. I guess we can start at the top. We have who's first? We have Wales and
Wales
Denmark.
and Denmark. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
so
think
Wales basically got in right because they beat Russia like 4-1, correct?
right.
So I know that. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so they beat Russia and they tied with Switzerland, and then they lost to Italy because everybody lost to Italy. So Wales wasn't that big of a surprise. They were. I was really surprised by Turkey. I thought they were going to be way better, and they lost every game. So
I
that was
remember
on
you
the
saying. I remember that from the beginning. Yeah, I remember you
yeah.
saying that.
Um,
Everyone makes mistakes. No worries.
it happens. I think Denmark is kind of like the sweetheart of the tournament now.
Yeah, yeah,
Since
definitely.
Christian Eriksen. So that's going to be an exciting game. I don't really have a favorite for that one because I like both teams.
Yeah, I think
Um,
um, I was just reading up on it beforehand. They're playing in. They're back in Denmark, I think. They're playing at Ajax's old,
mhm.
or not their old grab, wherever they play. So I guess that's where Christian Eriksen used to play as well.
Yeah,
So if anything, I was reading basically like, if anything, it's going to be a really favorable crowd for Denmark,
yeah.
obviously. And
They're
I
in
think,
they're in Amsterdam.
okay. And yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So I think a lot of people are going to be cheering for them. The biggest question I have with them is, emotionally, those players have to be so gassed. I mean,
right.
after what happened on the first game, and then just getting through everything, and then just I'm sure the emotions of actually reaching the knockout rounds by just dominating Russia were crazy. So my only worry about them is I just don't know if they have enough gas left in the tank. I do think they can beat Wales, but I do think Wales up front will give you trouble. I think, in my opinion, it will all come down to pretty much every Wales game comes down to how effective Gareth Bale is,
Right.
especially with Daniel James on the sides. And Aaron Ramsey's looked somewhat better than he has been.
Yeah, he has.
Um, so I like Wales here. And like I said, I just think Denmark has to be like, I don't want to say like they have the mindset that they're like, okay, we're just happy to be here, but at the same time, I assume some of them, if they lose, they're going to be like, okay, cool, now I can finally just relax for a week. So
Yeah. I,
um,
I mean, I think they have that kind of because it was like a life and death situation, which they don't deal with that often. But my thing with that game is it comes down to can Denmark score because they lost. Like Christian Eriksen was like the guy when they needed a play to be set up or a goal or something. So I would probably take Wales too. I'd love to see Denmark advance, even though I really like Wales as a team.
yeah,
But
yeah, I,
that's a
I
tough.
would prefer. I mean, I think I put it in there, but yeah, Denmark has to be the Cinderella story.
Yeah,
Northern Ireland was in 2016. But yeah, I just don't know if they have enough tank, like gas left in the tank. But we'll see. We've seen better teams than Denmark and probably worse teams than Denmark that have been able to neutralize Bale. So
Yeah,
I really think it's going to be Bale is needing to be effective, and I really think Dan James and Ramsey need to be kind of back to in good form, I guess I'll say. So
yeah,
yeah, if you want to go to the next one.
yeah. We got Italy and Austria. I don't think anyone was surprised by Italy advancing.
I,
Austria was a little bit of a surprise, I'd say. I mean, they weren't very well. They weren't ranked very high. They were in a bit of a favorable group with the Netherlands, Ukraine, and North Macedonia.
yeah,
Macedonia was like the heavy underdog throughout the whole tournament, and they didn't get a point. Uh, Ukraine and Austria both advanced. Austria was the third place. I don't see how Austria really puts up a fight against Italy,
yeah,
unless. I mean, it's a one game, so you never really know.
yeah.
But Italy's looked like insanely strong.
I mean, that's what's crazy about these soccer, and like it's not um, like there's no series, so I mean, really, one game, anything could happen.
Right.
Um, but I know you said no one was surprised by Italy. I was surprised how good Italy looked.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no idea how. I mean, I don't think the Italian national team hasn't lost since I think like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
So I was surprised on how. I mean, like you said, it was a favorable group, but I mean, them getting 9 points, they have to be, in my opinion, in favor going forward. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought they were, and you called it out right from the beginning, so I'll give you credit for that. I had no idea, and they don't seem to play slow and like methodical, but like a lot of old Italian teams do. They seem to be like they put a lot of guys forward and they
Yeah.
press through the back. So they've been really impressive to me, and I just don't know how Austria stays with them. So I like it.
They've also conceded 0 goals, which I think is really important,
Just,
especially since Chiellini's been hurt.
yeah,
Bonucci's kind of stepped up and become like the pseudo leader. So Italy looks scary. I think. Well, there's 3 teams that got 9 points: Italy, Netherlands, and Belgium. And I mean, you have to give props to Netherlands for getting 9 points.
they didn't look
But
that good though.
yeah, but their group was one of the easiest. I mean, they're playing Czech Republic, which is not the worst matchup. Czech Republic was third. I think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Netherlands will still get by, but they don't look amazing.
No, what Netherlands is a bit of wash, but it looks like it looks like they almost have just a collection of the best players that really haven't played together a lot.
Yeah,
Like they have no fluidity. It feels like, um, I mean, Depay has been good at times, but it also feels like his head is already at Barcelona. So it's weird. I agree. I mean, the Czech Republic, they got, like you said, they got third. The Netherlands should go through, but they would definitely. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they tied 0-0 and then it lost penalty kicks, or they just lost straight up, because
yeah,
I think they're kind of riding on a wave of luck right now, and so I just they don't look like the Netherlands of old, which is I think I've said multiple times, like during this podcast and other ones, but it's really weird sometimes for me seeing all the new turnover in these teams. But yeah, the Netherlands, they got 9 points, but they didn't look good, I don't think, in any of their games.
yeah. They have good players. It's like you said, like they don't mesh very well. They have a guy Denzel Dumfries who's playing pretty great this tournament, but I mean he's a right back, so there's only so much a
Yeah,
defender
you
can
can.
do in a game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But I also wouldn't be surprised at a little bit of an upset in that game. And then we have, if not the biggest game, the second biggest, Belgium versus Portugal. Two heavy favorites.
Yeah, I put this one as the second favorite just because, well, when we get to the other one. But yeah, this
Yeah.
one's huge. I'll let you start. You can give your piece on it.
Belgium look good. All their players look good. Lukaku could be the player of the tournament so far. De Bruyne could also. I mean, Ronaldo does have the most goals, but I think maybe all of them were penalties. A really good amount.
He has like 7, doesn't
Maybe a
he?
tap in or something.
Yeah, he had the one tap in at the end of their first game, and then yeah, they had a penalty their first game too. Yeah, so there's been a lot of penalties for him.
I think one thing that no one really expected about Portugal is that Bruno doesn't really fit into the
No,
team like
yeah,
at all.
no, I don't know. Maybe you read it because I was going to bring this up, but ESPN did an article, or someone did an article about it about like how Bruno basically Bruno is basically Cristiano Ronaldo for United, and
Right.
then he has to come into this and basically play like I mean for United he's like the I don't like the main man, like everything goes through him and everything like that, and then I guess it's coming to the national team, it's really forced him to play more of like a holding role and like more of a like a real midfield role instead of like trying to set up
Yeah.
Ronaldo or anything. And I think part of that is his fault. I mean, it, you should have to learn how to play it, but it's obviously a tough situation. Um, but at the same time, I don't really blame him. I mean, it suck. I mean, it doesn't suck playing with Ronaldo, but like I can understand like at this point, maybe not at this point yet, but like if Ronaldo makes the squad going forward in like the next World Cups, which I'm sure he will, I wouldn't shock me if some Portugal players are like, all right, dude, like we get it. But now you're 38 years old. You're not
Yeah.
as good as you were. Like you can still be on the team and be the goal scorer, but we need to go through Bruno or we need to go through the middle somewhere else because um, of that. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if Ronaldo retired. I really think he just wants to get the goals record and then
Yeah.
retire. Like it just doesn't like
He
I feel like
definitely cares about it.
yeah, I know he had said that he wants to finish in Porto, but we'll see what all that happens with it. Yeah, I think Belgium win pretty easily. It's impossible to know how good Portugal is going to be. I mean, obviously, if they're at their best, I think they can beat Belgium. But um, Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, in their last group game was, I mean, he was, Chris Paul is in the right, like he was like John Stockton. I mean, he did everything,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I just Portugal looks. I mean, you could never count them out in my opinion because of Ronaldo, but they just don't look right. I'll say.
Yeah. The thing with Bruno and Ronaldo, there was a semi amount of spectacle about who would take the penalties, and I was confused. I was like, do you really think Bruno is going to take it over like one of the two best players ever?
Yeah,
And they're still on the team. But I mean, that's just it. Bruno is amazing, but it's a lot of recency bias also because he's been good the past
yeah,
season and a half. So everyone thinks he's the greatest right now.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. Playing the middleman for United is different than playing like the middleman. I don't know whatever you call it, but it's different playing that for United than it is playing that like that for Wolves or something.
Right.
It's not like he's like connecting guys that like no one knows about. He's connecting Marcus Rashford and Edinson Cavani. So that's why I said I do blame him a little bit, but I don't necessarily blame him all the way just because I mean it's a weird situation to be in. Which is very odd because I feel like Argentina will never be in that situation with Messi.
I think that's kind of the difference between Messi and Ronaldo. That's like part of it. Messi
Yeah,
is like a little more adaptable, I'd say, in like his style of play and stuff, and he can work in many systems. And I mean, Ronaldo, there's obviously, I'm not saying he's bad, but
no,
his his play is a little more structured and what has to be like he needs the ball here, so then he can do this. Messi, he can kind of come back like almost to the defenders, take the ball and just make something
yeah,
happen.
yeah. I mean, there had been talk about Ronaldo coming back to United, and obviously I would welcome it. He's still really good, but I think there are teams out there that are very cautioned with sign. I know we've dived into club level, but that's fine. But I think a lot of teams would kind of shy away from Ronaldo right now, just because you have to change your whole team. If he's
Right.
like, if United get Ronaldo, it's like well, the same thing's going to happen with Bruno. Like you lose Bruno's like so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I love Ronaldo. He's my favorite. I like him more than Messi. But it's a weird situation, and back to the game, unless Ronaldo scores 3 absolute like good goals, I just don't see him getting past Belgium. Belgium's too good.
Yeah, Belgium looks pretty good, and they're ranked number 1.
Yeah,
And like I've been saying, it's really their last chance to win something. So I think every game they're gonna go like completely all out.
yeah, and you can always count on Pepe. I mean, he's probably going to get a red card in the first 15 minutes, so
Yeah,
you're going to be playing against 10 men. So, and even if Pepe stays in the game, you're kind of playing against 10 men because Pepe sucks. Um,
yep.
but all right, let's go on to
Croatia and Spain.
yeah, Spain. I'll let you start, obviously, because
Spain have not looked great, but they've only conceded 1 goal. They did finish second. Sweden finished above them. Croatia also finished second. Croatia has kind of looked better than I thought because they're all like 36.
they're old. Yeah,
Yeah, Modric has looked really good, and he had that insane outside of the boot goal.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
So I think this is kind of like a team that's getting ready to change the guard in Croatia, and Spain, a team that just changed all their team. So it's going to be interesting to watch. It's a lot of young guys on Spain, but their attack has looked pretty shocking.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, it is kind of that like Croatia. I mean, the next real competition, I mean, Modric will probably stay in the team just because he's maybe, but like, yeah, it's going to be new guys going forward. So
Yeah,
this is probably Croatia's last chance to really get. And Spain just looks. I mean, I think we talked about it last time. Like Spain just they have no one up front ever. I just don't understand it.
yeah,
Like and they keep playing Morata up front, and he's been okay. He hasn't, but like at the same time, he like Spain needs to have someone like they've been so good for so long by having a controlling midfield and a very good defense, but they just can't find everyone to play up top. Like Morata looks lost up there half the time.
yeah,
Like half the time when he gets his foot on the ball in the box, he just sends it wide. So I did. I hope Croatia win. I'm ready for Spain to get knocked down from their mountaintop, but like at the same time, I just don't know. With Croatia being so like most of their players being older, at some point the gas has to run out.
yeah. Spain just haven't looked very exciting, and like you were saying, it seems like Spain as a country just doesn't produce strikers really.
It's
I mean, they had Douglas Costa, or not Diego Costa, but I
yeah,
think he was like half Brazilian too.
yeah, he
He
was.
played for Brazil.
I think he played for Brazil. Yeah,
Yeah, but there's like for like Italy for an example doesn't really produce wingers. Like they produce defenders and central midfielders and strikers, but it's just random things in the country that's like put more of an emphasis on. But
yeah.
I'd like to see Modric just have another crazy game and just have the old guys just score a bunch.
That's. I mean, like I said, I would love to see Spain get knocked down off their pedestal. And I mean, Modric, I think he's capable of it. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
other than De Bruyne, really, and then yeah, De Bruyne, really, I think he's the best guy in the middle for their respective teams because I mean, everything runs through and around those two. So
yeah,
yeah, I'd love to see Croatia make another run. I think they're good enough to do it. It just depends on if they have the legs. And I know we talked about it in the beginning, not at this podcast, but like at the beginning of the Euro. I mean, these guys, it's gonna. I think it'll be interesting to see because once you get to like the quarterfinals and the semifinals, I mean, these guys' legs are going to be tired. So I think it'll be interesting.
yeah.
All right, who we got
We got
next?
France and Switzerland, the world champions, versus a bit of a surprise team. They
Yeah,
finished third. It pretty much all came down to the last day when they scored 3 against Turkey and advanced. Switzerland looks like they have a surprise in them. I don't know if I'd go as far to say they'll beat France because I think France will kind of turn it on eventually. They have to at some point. They haven't looked great, but Shaqiri from Liverpool on Switzerland had 2 pretty crazy goals.
Yeah.
So it's not a breeze for France.
No, I agree, and France hasn't overly impressed me. I mean, I mean, if you look at their roster or their starting 11 and their whatever, I mean, it's all like all stars. It is. It's all all stars,
Yeah,
and they just haven't impressed me because they haven't really played like a team of all stars. Really, I agree. I don't know if Switzerland can beat France, but I think they're going to give them a pretty damn good game. Um, I think it towards the end it probably ends up more lopsided towards France, maybe like 2-0 or three
yeah,
one. But I think they'll be in the Switzerland will be in the game for the majority of it, and then I mean in the end, France just has too much attacking power to not win. I think so.
yeah. I
So
would say so.
yeah, all right. And then the one I'm looking forward to the most, England and Germany. I'll let you start on this one before I hop in.
I think both teams have been disappointing. I think I think you can give Germany a little bit of a pass since their group, but they still tied with Hungary. But I've been super disappointed in England. I mean, they haven't lost a game, they haven't conceded a goal, but they've won 2 games 1-0 and tied 1-0-0. Like it's not like they're beating teams. They're just their Raheem Sterling is getting a tap in each game. So
It's
I I would love to see England win just because I would love to see England win. I also love to see them lose because it would be it'd be interesting to see them lose because you know all the players because we watch the Premier League, but it'd be fun to see them win because we know them also. I I don't know about their midfield. Something I Gareth Southgate is doing something wrong.
I
He
like that
has
you said.
to be. There's
I
too
like that
many
you
good
just said it
players.
like that.
There's two like Jadon Sancho hasn't played a minute.
I know.
I don't know. I mean, he finally started. He's finally starting Jack Grealish, which I think had to be done. He's playing. He's probably their best player so far.
Yes. Um,
I don't know
yeah,
what's going on.
and I feel like that exactly how what you just said. I feel like that's how every English fan feels. Like
Yeah,
they're almost like they're like, yeah, we've looked at, but then again, we've won. Like we got through, and like we've won, and yeah, yeah. They're going to need to score more goals to beat teams if they're going to want to advance. I don't know about Germany. Germany looks they're like a mixture of their older guys and their new guy, like their young guys. They just look kind of lost at times. They need to get Matt Hummels out of the back. There, he needs to be on the bench, which is crazy because I mean 4 or 5 years ago he was probably one of the highest like sought after uh, center backs in the
yeah,
world. So, but yeah, they need to sit him. They need to do a lot of things. I hope England win. I honestly do at this point. Like, if they were to play any other team but Germany, probably I would probably want the other team to win. But Germany, they've also been so good for so long, and they just look. I mean, they just look discombobulated when they play. And granted, they could also end up beating England like 5-0, and it wouldn't surprise me. So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, no, exactly about Gareth Southgate. Everyone's like you can't criticize him because he hasn't lost, and they haven't given up a goal. So like you
yeah.
can't criticize it, but at the same time, you're watching it. You're like, there should be so much more right now. But no, I agree.
The the
Go ahead.
thing about England fans is they're not happy when they win ugly. They're only happy when they win and it looks good. So
Yeah,
like he started Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice in all the games, which is two holding midfielders. So obviously they're going to be more defensive since they have one less attacker. So they have conceded no goals, but they don't attack very much. And everyone's bagging on Harry Kane right now.
he's
But
get,
but
he's not
he's like
getting
he's the
not.
best player on England, like far and away. But no one passes him the ball
Yeah,
when
he's not getting any
like he gets
service.
it at the halfway line.
Yeah,
And everyone wants to bag. I mean, I'm defending Spurs a little bit since they're my team, but everyone
okay.
wants to bag on how Kane is better than Spurs. But if you see how Spurs play with Kane, they get him the ball in the like exactly where he wants it, and they have the people to run behind, and that's why he had most assists and most goals for the season. So I think if maybe not against Germany since they're better attacking, but they're gonna have to play with three center backs, two wing backs, one defensive midfielder, and then they'll
Yeah,
have more attacking. But so, I think I could be the coach of England right now.
I
with
think a
other
lot of
fans.
people. I think a lot of people think they probably could. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, no, I think they're gonna if they make it past Germany. I haven't looked at the quarterfinal matchups, but I mean, they're gonna end up playing they're gonna end up playing the big boys, and you're gonna need to score to beat the big boys. So,
I
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna check on the quarterfinals because there's one team I was looking at. I think it might be England that until the finals they'll avoid like France, Italy, Belgium, like all the big teams except for one. I'm gonna check really fast.
Um,
But we can move on to
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Well, we will
Sweden
also
and Ukraine.
Sweden and Ukraine. We'll also be talking a little bit more about Harry Kane at the end here. Sweden and Ukraine. Don't know much about either one of these two.
Yeah,
I know that Isak, the Swedish forward, has probably made a couple. Nope, not a couple. Tens and 20 millions of dollars off of this tournament alone, which is, I mean, I don't expect him to go to a giant and have like a great year, but hey, capitalize on what you can when you can. So, good for him, and he's looked good. Sweden have looked better than I thought they would be. I thought they
yeah,
would look lost without Ibrahimovic. I thought that like they would look like a. I honestly thought going into it they would be like a headless horse, like snake or something
yeah.
that they just have nothing to. But Isaac's been really good. Um, I don't know much about Ukraine. Um, all I know is that Russia hates them and they got in a fight over their jersey before the tournament. So if you want to fill them people in on Ukraine and
Yeah.
maybe whatever you found out about the quarterfinals.
Well, my thing first about Sweden is there's always happens at these big tournaments where small players have a great tournament and they're bought by the big clubs and it doesn't work out, which is like what happened with the German Mario Götze or however you say his name, the one who scored the winner at the World Cup against Argentina. He got
Mm-hmm.
bought by Dortmund for a lot and then didn't really do anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if Isak gets bought by maybe not like a Man United, but someone big. And then there's Patrick Schick on Czech Republic. He's had two pretty great games, so he'll probably get bought. Sweden has been really good. Ukraine also. I mean, they topped their group. I don't know so much about the individual players, but they look good as a team. They kind of took advantage of the situation they were in a group with a weakened Spain. But I think this game is actually a bit of a toss-up, so this would be an interesting one to watch, even though you probably won't know any players. It's just going to be a lot of white blonde guys going at it, I think.
Yeah,
But
you
I
are right.
found the bracket.
Yeah, you are right. You can go ahead. Yeah, I just found it. Go ahead.
So should England advance, they would play Sweden versus Ukraine, the winner of that. And then they would play one out of Netherlands, Czech Republic, Wales, and Denmark. So they're avoiding Belgium, Portugal, Italy, France, and Spain.
This is you're 100% right. A, because it's a fact, and B, I mean, this is insane. I cannot believe that this setup is set up like this.
They have the best draw they could have ever had. I guess if it was Croatia and Spain instead of Netherlands and Czech Republic, because if they could avoid Netherlands too. But I mean, this is like a dream if you're an English fan.
Oh, it is. I mean, yeah. I mean, I was looking before I pulled this a new bracket up. I was looking at one that had like the country names in a different language, and I
Oh yeah,
thought the Netherlands, and I'm dumb, so I thought they were France. I was like, oh well, they'll play France, but no, it's the Netherlands. Yeah, I mean, if they win versus England, or if they win versus Germany, there's absolutely no reason. I mean, let's be honest. If they beat the English fans know about this in the bracket, I'm sure already. So
yeah,
if they beat Germany and then don't find a way to at least get to the final, once again, it'll be great for us because a lot of things to laugh at. But it's been long enough where I'm kind of at the point where like you're right. We know most of the England players. Like we either cheer for them or we see them like every Saturday and Sunday. Like I'm almost at the point where I want England to win. I think
yeah.
I do. I would rather see them win. I mean, than France again, or I would like to see Italy win too. That's the only
Yeah.
other one really. But yeah, no, I that's crazy that bracket.
There's going to be some interesting matchups too because if we're saying Belgium beats Portugal, then they'd have to play Italy next, which is probably the two best teams right now
Yeah,
playing with each other. And then it looks like Wales or Denmark, whoever wins that, might have a route to the semifinals because they would probably just have to beat Netherlands. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
Netherlands also they have been not great, but they also have not a terrible route to everybody. It's just what a tournament.
yeah, it's been incredible. Yeah, I mean, Sweden and Ukraine, that's nice, but
Right.
now that we've looked at it, do you think because England won their group, correct?
They did.
So they were going to win it either way. So
So,
I don't
but
know.
here's what everyone was talking about during their last game is the second place team from England's group would play Spain and the first place would play Germany. So everyone was saying, oh, maybe England wants to lose this game, get second, and then play the easier team. But it looks like now they were right to
Yeah.
win because if they can beat Germany,
Oh yeah.
you have to take England over Sweden or Ukraine, and you'd
And then
have to take them over any of the other four.
I would think that they would be. I won't say heavily favored, but I would say they'll probably be a goal favorite
Yeah,
over everyone they play until the final. So, I mean, that's huge for England. I didn't know that, but that's nice of you to point that out. That's like you said, you couldn't ask for a better draw.
yeah, you
Um,
really can't.
so I assume we'll probably do this again before maybe like the semifinals or the finals. We'll figure that out. If you got a couple minutes, I kind of wanted to talk some
Yeah,
domestic.
let's do it.
Um, just because it's obviously that everyone's talking about the big money moves. I guess I'll start with you with the question. Do you think Harry Kane's going to leave? I,
Honestly, no.
I don't think so either.
And
It's go ahead.
I think there's a lot of storylines to take, but Kane has also never said that he out and out wants to leave. He says he wants to play Champions League football, which everyone obviously assumes means he wants to leave since Spurs aren't in Champions League. But he also this is like his boyhood team.
Hmm.
Like he started on this team, so there's obviously love for that. But also the, the Spurs aren't going to sell him unless it's because I think City offered like 100 million and one of Laporte, Sterling, and Jesus.
Yeah,
I think Spurs
I,
would want 100 million and all three of them,
yeah,
if
no.
anything.
I don't think I especially to City. I don't think they would sell them to City for under 150.
Right.
So I don't think I never that was like the big story I saw like earlier in the week and maybe last week, and it just never made sense to me. I was like, they're not just going to openly sell them to City for like a decent price. So I mean,
Yeah.
and then he's been, as far as I know, he's not been talked to leave England. I don't think he probably ever wants to leave England.
Yeah, he does not want to
And
because like for his family, which makes sense.
I will say, if England does make a run here and like either they make it to the final or win, I think that's a big win for Spurs fans
Oh,
because
for sure.
he's been like, I mean, you said it, but he's been openly like, I'd rather win for my country. And I think if they get far enough and they aren't just destroyed in the tabloids or things like that, I think he'll just be like, yeah, I think I'll keep playing at Spurs. So, I mean, yeah, that was, like I said, that always didn't make sense to me. I want Harry Kane to stay at Spurs. I hate that City. I mean, United kind of does it, and we'll get to them next. But I hate that City and PSG just have so much money they really just can buy
Yeah.
anyone they want. Which brings us to Grealish. Um, they said, like I said, earlier in the week it was Kane was going to City, and then I think just 2 days ago or yesterday it started that they were launching City were launching a $140 million bid for Grealish. You have anything on that?
Well, what I was seeing is they wanted both. They wanted Kane and Grealish.
Which
So then
isn't which is
they,
insane.
yeah,
You can't do. I mean, you'd have to sell.
you'd probably have to get rid of Sterling and probably like Bernardo Silva, someone like that. Because then they were saying their front four, or I saw a projection that their front four could be Kane, Grealish, Foden, and De Bruyne, which would just be stupid.
Yeah, I
But
mean that's really good.
it also said that City were like Kane was their number one target, and then Grealish was their number two. But
Which,
there's a lot of tough because Grealish is just like Kane for Aston Villa, like it's his club. He brought them from championship. It's not going to be easy for him to leave.
I I agree with Kane's side of the thing, and I know Aston Villa. It is different. Because I like to uh, reference it towards like if you grew up like for Grealish, Aston Villa, that was your boyhood team. That was like LeBron playing for the Cavs. So
Yeah,
it is hard to leave, but I think a lot of these players are smart enough at some point that they know like when to take the money and when to do that. So I would like to see him stay at Aston Villa. I think. I mean, I I think anything that could make the whole like all 20 teams like more equal kind of. I wish
yeah,
that could happen. And yeah, so what I take from the Grealish thing then is they basically probably went after Kane first, and Spurs were kind of like no, and then now they're just going to go all in on Grealish. I I don't know what Manchester City does with players. Like they just buy them, and then they're in their team for 2 or 3 years, and then they're just like I
yeah.
they just buy everybody.
They
I
really
don't.
they're. I mean, you see it a lot when a player becomes available, but it's always every team is linked to them, and then you always see that City are one of the first ones making an actual bid.
Because I just have so much damn money.
But another thing about Kane that I forgot to say is I heard he hasn't talked to Spurs at all, which makes sense because he's in the Euros. But Spurs also don't have a manager right now, and they've like had immense trouble getting a manager. So I think until they get a manager, the manager will have to talk to Kane, and all these managers want assurance that they're gonna have Kane next season. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's a completely different team if Kane's gone.
Well, then that to me, like I can relate to the NBA. Like Damian Lillard wants to have a say in who his next coach is. If I'm Harry Kane, I probably want to have a say too. I
Yeah,
know it's not as big of a thing in soccer, even though I think it's more than a lot of people think that don't watch soccer. But yeah, if I was Kane, I'd be like, once the Euros ended and however they went, whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I would like to have a say in this. If I'm going to be playing through my early like into my early 30s here, like I would like to know that we're going to have a coach. So,
yeah,
and then what else did I have? I think I had Mbappe supposedly staying in Paris. They signed his brother, which I'm
yeah.
sure was a move just to keep him.
Well, he's also super young, I think, so it's like deep in their academy, I
Oh,
believe.
okay,
So
okay.
it's not like it's a big move with a lot of domino effect. But I mean, as much as I don't like, nobody loves watching PSG because like they play against bad teams, even though they didn't even win the league this year.
Which
But it's
is
like they're fun in the Champions League because you get to see Neymar and Mbappe play, and they're signing a bunch of other players. I think they're signing Hakimi from Inter,
yeah.
the right back. So I
Inter
mean, I'd
needs
like
to
to see him
sell
play. I don't
everybody.
want Mbappe to go to Liverpool for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it the PSG thing really never, and it still kind of doesn't make sense to me. Like I get, well, it does make sense to me when you look at who's on their team. I mean, it's Neymar. Like these guys want the money. Like so I
Yeah,
get it. But I just yeah, I would like to see Mbappe. Like I think the only team you'd probably go to is City or Real Madrid, probably. So I mean, I would love to. I don't want him to go to City. I would prefer he stays out of England.
yeah.
But I mean, Real Madrid, like we never get to. I mean, the only thing you see of Mbappe is A, you're right, either the Champions League games or B, just like highlights of his sweet goals. So you never really get to like see how good he is fully. So
Yeah.
I would like him to leave Paris. I would like players to stop going to Paris. Like I mean, it, you're like it's just weird. It's like you're in your own island playing there. But
Well,
whatever.
you're
I
just
hope.
getting like just free trophies. Like you'll win the French Cup all the time because
Yeah,
it's it's a little different, but it's kind of like Bayern in Germany. I mean, I know there's like Dortmund's good, Leipzig is good, but like Bayern is just they're on a completely
yeah.
different level.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a pretty good analogy. And then what? Sancho is supposed to be coming to United. Apparently, they've basically come to an agreement on the actual buyout terms. Not the buyout, but how much they're going to pay. And
Right.
then because I reportedly they, like uh, Dortmund was asking for like 120 or 130, and I think United wanted to go like 80 or 90 or 100 maybe. So they apparently split the difference so far, and now they're just talking about wages and bonuses and things like that. Which brings me to another point. Martial is probably out if they bring in Sancho, which doesn't surprise me, and I don't really feel one different way about it. Martial was good when he was in the team, but he he just wasn't in the team enough. So
Yeah,
it doesn't make a lot of sense. Bringing Sancho over, I think, is a big risk, um, because you are gonna either have to change Mason Greenwood to like a striker role, or he's just gonna not see time. So
yeah,
so we'll see. But I mean, Sancho's good. So once again, I mean, I I just can't believe he hasn't played a minute for England yet.
yeah.
It's
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 pretty
weird.
surprising.
And like this is me like capering for Rashford. I know, and Rashford's been like hurt and stuff too. But the fact that Rashford hasn't been out there either, I mean, it's like these guys score goals. Like it's what they do. So
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so that's it for I think the domestic. Unless you got anything else, and I
I think
know
that's it.
our first game is on here, and our first match is on here about 15 minutes. So I will let you go, and like
Sweet.
I said, we'll probably do this. So when are what the first round of 16 goes through next
Let
weekend,
me see. I think goes to it ends on Tuesday.
and then when do
The quarterfinals start on Friday. So we can do something in between that.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it
Yeah.
out for sure. All right, well, that's it for us, everyone. Go watch Wales and Denmark, and have a good rest of the weekend.
Sweet.